Senator McCain's campaign went even further a few months ago, suggesting that the best answer to the growing pressure on Social Security might be to cut cost of living adjustments or to raise the retirement age. Now, when Ron and I were talking, they pointed out, as it is, the cost of living adjustment doesn't seem to really keep up with the cost of living. The notion that you would eliminate that means that in a slow, not so hidden way, your benefits are being reduced each and every year, particularly now that we know that inflation is starting to rear its ugly head again with gas prices and food prices, price of prescription drugs all going up. The notion that we'd raise the retirement age, I think if you talk to some of the workers who are unfortunately being laid off, particularly if they're in their late 50s or early 60s, if you've been working in an auto plant for 30 years, the idea that you're going to keep on working until you're 72 or 73, not on your own terms, not because you decide you want to be in the workplace, but because you have to keep food on the table or pay your electricity bills. That, I don't think, is our best option. I think there's another option that is fairer to working men and women. We have to protect Social Security for future generations without pushing the burden on the seniors who earn the right to retire in dignity. So here's what I would do. Here's where I would start. Right now, the Social Security payroll tax is capped. That means that most middle-class families pay the payroll tax on every dime that they earn. But once you get to $102,000 per individual, then you're no longer paying the payroll tax. What that means is that while most of the people here paid Social Security on every dime you ever earned, you've got billionaires and millionaires who are paying only a tiny fraction, paying payroll tax on only a tiny fraction of their income. I've got a friend in Omaha, you may have heard of, went to high school, living in the house where Ron grew up. So they're just a wonderful couple, and we're very grateful for them joining us. You know, for generations, what I'd like to do, by the way, is just make some opening remarks, and then we'll open it up and have a conversation. But as Michelle pointed out, you know, for generations, we've worked to keep simple promises. Americans who work hard their entire lives have earned the right to retire with dignity and security. That's the promise that my grandparents did, even though they came of age during the Great Depression. My grandfather would go on to serve in Patton's Army, while my grandmother stayed home on a bomber assembly line. My mother was born at Fort Leavenworth in Kansas. When they left Kansas to go out west to build their lives after the war, they did so with the confidence that Washington would help them reach a secure retirement. That was the promise that FDR made, and it was the promise that Washington kept for decades while folks like my grandparents moved through the ups and downs of life in America's middle class. But today, Washington is not working to preserve this fundamental part of the American dream. A secure retirement is no longer a guarantee for the middle class. All of us know that it's harder to save and it's harder to retire. You see it in your own children, I suspect, that having the bills paid at the end of the month and still have something left over to save is more difficult. The defined benefit retirement plans that so many people counted on aren't always there. I was just talking to the governor, and he informed me that just this past week he got news of approximately 12,000 jobs that are going to be lost here in Ohio, and these are all union jobs, which means that they all provided a pension. It's one of the few areas in American life where you can still count on a pension as opposed to just a 401k. Those jobs are being lost. If we don't act, the promise of Social Security will grow harder. And that's why I fight every single day to extend the promise of a retirement that's dignified and secure as a United States Senator, and that's why I'm going to fight to make sure that a secure, dignified retirement is there when I'm President of the United States of America. Now, it starts with protecting Social Security today, tomorrow, and forever. The Paynes informed me that about half their current income comes from Social Security. So obviously, from name Warren Buffett, he's worth $56 billion. You know, if he's only paying the first 100,000, that is 0.00001% of his income is he paying Social Security. I may have lost a couple of zeros in there. The point is, it's negligible to him. It's not even noticeable. Now, I think that's why the best way forward is to first look to adjust the cap on the payroll tax so that people like me, because I'm earning more than $102,000, pay a little bit more and people in need are protected. That way we can extend the promise of Social Security without shifting the burden on seniors. And by the way, I think that we should exempt anyone making under $250,000 from this increase. So it will not burden the middle class. Anybody under $250,000 would not be affected whatsoever. 97% of Americans will see absolutely no change in their taxes under my proposal. 97%. But what it does allow us to do is to extend the life of Social Security without cutting benefits or raising the retirement age. Now, there was a time when John McCain thought this wasn't such a bad idea. When he was asked a few years ago whether he could see himself lifting the cap on the payroll tax, he said, I could. But today he's attacking me for holding this very same position. So I'm looking forward, John McCain's proposed a serious debates. I'm looking forward to having them. And when it comes to Social Security, he might want to finish the debate with himself first.